Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV. And dear viewers, today we brought you Nile Cruise from a very special place, from one of the most important Islamic shrines all over the world, from Al-Azhar al-Sharif. And today, dear viewers, Al-Azhar celebrates this month the ceremony of marking the 1079th foundation of Al-Azhar Mosque. A ceremony was held and was attended by senior officials, of course, and scholars, preachers, officials, and cadres. A series of activities took place as part of the celebration. Founded by, of course, the Fatimids in 1970 AD as a mosque dedicated to both worship and learning, it developed over the countries and centuries into the most important center of Islamic and learning in the world. Over thousands of years since its foundation, Al-Azhar Mosque and the university that bears its name draw students from all over the world to learn about the history of Islam and the different schools of thought that govern the interpretation of the Holy Quran, of course. From its founding, Al-Azhar University was an institution that revealed many, of course, of the intellectual people that we have all around us. Dear viewers, today it's regarded with respect throughout the world, of course, Al-Azhar University as an influential, moderating and regulating authority for Islamic theology. And in this context, dear viewers, we have with us a very special guest, which is Mr. Ramadan Abul Kheir, member of Al-Azhar Media Center. A very good day, sir. And it's a pleasure to have you with us, of course, in today's episode of Nile Cruise.
Thank you.
Mr. Ramadan, back in May 2018, the Supreme Council of Al-Azhar approved the inauguration day of Al-Azhar Mosque as the 7th day of Ramadan. 361 Hijri to be commemorated each year. How is the anniversary celebrated this year?
Okay, thank you for having me with you.
It's
here
our
in
pleasure,
this,
sir.
It's our pleasure in this great place, in a special occasion, the occasion of founding one of the greatest ever mosques in the history of Egypt and in the history of Islam. In the history of Egypt and in the history of Islam. Al-Azhar celebrated its 1079 anniversary last week. The celebrations witnessed some very distinguished activities for the first time. The activities included a corner for Arabic calligraphy, supervised by a number of Al-Azhar calligraphy artists who organized training programs for the attendants and the guests of Al-Azhar this day, and also who spread joyful feelings by writing the names of the guests of Al-Azhar this day, and hold some training of them to know the techniques and secrets of Arabic calligraphy. The second activity this day represented in holding a collective iftar for approximately 2,500 of Al-Azhar guests in attendance of Al-Azhar many scholars and leaders, and then they performed the Taraweeh prayers, and the day concluded with honoring the winners of Al-Azhar International competition for Quran recitation.
Sir, Al-Azhar remains a deeply influential institution in Egyptian society and, of course, a symbol of Islamic Egypt. What activities are organized in Ramadan to raise the awareness of Muslims about fasting?
Actually, Al-Azhar organizes every year some distinguished activities during the holy month of Ramadan as an institution of as the most prestigious institution of Sunni Islamic around the world. These activities, including holding religious lectures on the hands of some of Al-Azhar great scholars, and the members of Al-Azhar hire a Supreme Council of Scholars who delivers daily religious lectures about the month of Ramadan, how to use Ramadan as a month of mercy, how to benefit from it to be forgiven, and also they are discussing the Muslims around the world in order to live in peace and coexistence with other communities and to be more open for other who are different with us in believing. Also, Al Azhar have an association of its graduates around the world who are working with the Muslim and Egyptian communities in the Western countries in order to deliver them a religious fatwas and religious opinions and relevant to their daily issues.
Sir, what is meant by riwaq?
The work was mainly designed as a place for the students to study here in Al Azhar from and based upon the nationalities and the branch of Sharia law they are studying. So we can find that the riwaq names was based upon this. We can find Al-Maghariba riwaq and also Al-Tarakiwa riwaq and riwaq Al-Sharakiwa. Those names based upon the origins of the students who were studying here in Al-Azhar.
What was its meaning in history of the mosque and how did it develop now?
It developed by years, and now the riwaq containing some modern activities. There is the English language riwaq. There is also the Sharia law riwaq, and many other kinds of riwaq that suits our modern life.
Okay. Sir, what are the activities held by Al-Azhar to spread moderate Islam and face extremism?
Actually, Al-Azhar doing a great effort in that relevant. It established the Al-Azhar Observatory for combating extremism and terrorism, and also it established Al-Azhar Global Fatwa Center for being Al-Azhar tools in confronting the extremist groups and ideologies. Those entities, Al-Azhar Observatory and Al-Azhar Global Fatwa Center, organizing now some campaigns for combating extremist ideologies. One of these campaigns, which is organized now, is a campaign titled "Let's Squash It." Let's squash it. Let's squash it. It's aiming to verify the information and we receive from the media tools or from social media, and trying to verify this information because the terrorist groups are using the rumors in order to support their terrorist activities and in order to attract the new youth. Also, the Global Fatwa Center organizes a campaign titled "Follow Me." This campaign aims to guide Muslims for the right behaviors of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, particularly during the holy month of Ramadan.
How can people join these activities and how do they know about them?
They are...
Of course, you're a member of Al-Azhar Media Center, so you know more and you can tell us more about this.
In Al-Azhar Media Center, we are following up these campaigns in order to give the instructions and relevant to how to improve the way it's working and how to give more recommendations for our scholars and preachers to use the recent tools in their work and how to use social media as a tool. You know that our modern youth are now depending on social media and they are getting all information from social media.
True.
So it is very important that preachers and the scholars should have their own pages, their own existence on this world in order to communicate directly with the youth, in order to know the way of their thinking and how to respond to their inquiries. And this is very important, actually.
Okay, sir, what are the misconceptions about fasting that need to be corrected by Muslim preachers?
Actually, there are many misconceptions and relevant misconceptions relevant to fasting. The most recent misconceptions related directly with some allegations that fasting impacts our health, particularly those who are criticizing Al-Azhar and its methodology, who are saying that fasting results in the decrease of water in our bodies, and that will harm our bodies. But this is not correct actually, because all scientific evidences said that fasting is very very useful for our health. It helps our bodies to be refreshed and to be more healthy for resisting diseases. Also, there are many other regular misconceptions related to tooth brushing during the day of Ramadan, and also during
It's
eating.
okay to wash your tooth, of
No,
course.
yeah, I think it's allowed, and there is no problem in it. Also, there are many misconceptions related to eating and drinking falsely during the day of Ramadan, and also I think there are many other misconceptions.
Okay, Dr. Ramadan, when are we supposed to stop eating actually, when Adhan al-Fajr says Allahu Akbar, or at the first, or before it says Allahu Akbar, or is it okay to drink a sip of water?
No, I think we should stop before it said Allahu Akbar.
Before it says
Yeah,
Allahu
yeah,
Akbar.
yeah.
So, because many people, as soon as the Adhan says Allahu Akbar, they start drinking some
I'm not a
water
religious
quickly.
specialist, so I think
Okay.
so.
How do Al-Azhar graduates have an influential role in their countries?
Actually, Al-Azhar receives now 40,000 international students from around the world. Those students came from the countries and to attend here in Al-Azhar to study away from their families, their homes, and they will came back to their countries holding
The knowledge.
the right knowledge they received here in Al-Azhar. So we can imagine that Al-Azhar within 4 or 5 years will have approximately 40,000 ambassadors. And with time, we can say that Al-Azhar have hundreds of thousands of ambassadors who are working in their countries, who are guiding their people based upon the right knowledge they received here from Al-Azhar. And by that we can say that Al-Azhar is actually a very important soft power for Egypt.
Sir, we have 40,000 international students that study at Al-Azhar al-Sharif.
Yeah.
How many Egyptian students do we have at Al-Azhar al-Sharif?
Approximately 500,000.
500,000.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the new approaches that preaching should adopt to be adequate for youth nowadays?
As I said, the preachers have or should be familiar with the modern social media. The modern media. Social media now is very important. They should know how to deal on it with the youth, how to interact with youth during it. They should have their own pages. Also, they should broadcast daily live videos in order to respond for the inquiries of our youth, to respond for the daily issues related to our religion, related to our social life, related to the life between the family members, related to any other things. They should also know how to deal directly in this world, because it is difficult. They should be trained to deal with our youth during social media. And this will be very beneficial in helping our youth to know their religion, to know how to deal in their daily life, and to know many other things related to their religion.
Dr. Ramadan, finally, the 40,000 international students that study here in Al Azhar and are in 4 or 5 years, they're going to be our ambassadors abroad to export Islam all over the world. Do you remain in interaction with these students and they come back again to Egypt and there is a relation between Al-Azhar and their students, or as long or as soon as the education is done, then it's over and they leave and there
No,
are
no,
ambassadors and it's over?
No, there is a connection with them.
How is this connection?
This connection by establishing or it is established already the International Association of Al-Azhar Graduates. This association represents Al-Azhar international graduates in more than 66 countries. There are those who are working as a communication tool or a connection tool between Al-Azhar and its graduates in these countries in order to give them the recent criteria or the recent standards and relevant to confronting the extremist ideologies in their countries.
Dr. Ramadan Abul Kheir, member of Al Azhar Media Center, we thank you so much for joining us here in Nile.
Thank you. It's a
and
pleasure.
of course for your knowledge and adding to us loads and lots of information. Thank you so much, sir, and happy Ramadan.
Happy
Dear
Ramadan.
viewers, this was this segment of Nile Cruise. Stay with us for we have more yet in our episodes. I'll be back again.